Thank you, Kaldor. I am excited as well. These two players absolutely deserve to be here. They have fought their way through 3 group stages and ultimately a top 16 brackets where the best players were presented against one another. Apollo, this really should be a magical moment. 2 players who have seen this stage before, but now one of them going to claim a championship.
3 days of hard work is about to pay off for one of these guys. Can they go the full distance? They've made it to the final. There is one final game left. Will one be the winner? We'll have to find out which one that will be. Very shortly here, the players are almost ready to begin this best of 5 game. So they will play 5 different games against each other, of course, if it goes the full distance. And if one is demanding the lead, it could end shorter than that. Both of the guys are ready here.
All right, well, we're gonna start very, very soon. And, well, let's go. Are you guys ready? Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get started with the DreamHack ISO Open Grand Finals. The countdown has begun, and we're starting things off on Ohana. Now, both of these players certainly showing their own display of skills. Of course, Mana defeating Hero early today, but Dimaga playing a completely different style of ZVP and shattering the metagame this entire weekend long. I'm really excited to see these two duke it out and go at it. And here we go as we get started. Apollo, any final words for these guys before we get started?
Dude, I think this is going to be a great final. Mana's been on this stage before. Dimaga's been in finals. They have played in a final before, and they know what to expect, what to do, and what to pull out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's introduce our players in the southeast position. As the blue Protoss from Team Mouse Sports, give it up for Mana! In the northwest position, as the red Zerg from Team MTW, let's hear it for Dimaga.
There is Dimaga on the screen, of course, playing as the Zerg against Protoss here. And we already have a little bit of a maneuver here by Mana, of course, throwing the pylon on the lower ground here. This will mean that he will be looking to take a second base shortly. He will be looking for that early forge to set up a cannon, to set up that early nexus. And of course, Dimaga has shown excellent Zerg versus Protoss, a unique style to the game across the weekend, playing a lot different than any other of the Zerg players here.
Yeah, you know, there's a few things that we'll note here if he's going to decide to go with that style. Traditionally, right now, the way that the ZVP late game has gone, it's been a very roach-heavy style. This means that you drone up, you go mineral-heavy at the beginning, and then you throw your gas down a little bit later. We're going to see Dimaga throw his pool down, but one thing we're going to be looking for in the early supply is, does Dimaga go with that earlier gas, and as a result, does he get his speed a little bit earlier? Of course, this will also depend on how quickly he can get his expansions down, of course, on Ohana, here at the natural, and then at the third as well. But keep in mind, this map does have the rocks in between these 2 bases, so this is a tough area to defend, and that will come into play later on.
Mana showed against, well, they did talk a little bit about Mana against Stefano, one of the best Zerg players in the world. Now he's facing up against another Zerg player here. Is Mana going to use aggressive strategies against Dimaga, because that's how he managed to beat or to get into the final here? Well, we're only surely going to find out eventually here. There goes down the Nexus. There is the second base for Mana, wanting to really power through until the later stages of this game. And he already is getting ready to set up and block Dimaga's second base from coming down here with that probe down. And he is going to wait for 4 Zerglings to come, take out the probe, allow the base to finally get planted down.
And actually, I'm sure Dimaga's actually going to be pretty happy to see that that pylon was canceled there. It looks like that drone is immediately going to head over to the third while this one takes the natural. So we will see a double expansion. This is very normal here for Dimaga, as he's going to take this third as well. And there it goes down. At the front of Mana's base, we have, of course, the photon cannon and the gateway building up right now. And again, one thing we're going to be looking for is where exactly, or when exactly, will we see that gas coming out by Dimaga?
And right now, Mana is taking 2 gases inside his main base. Of course, he's looking to build up gas so that he can go into warp gate research. And now, as he does build up gas, he'll start to have multiple different options and choose strategies from them. Whether he'll go immediately up to a Stargate, whether he'll start to upgrade his ground units, his army right away here. Dimaga, though, is starting to take his gas, is taking the first only 1 gas here. And basically, that's going to enable his Zerglings to have speed nice and early on, to prevent any aggressive play from Mana, to prevent any probes getting out there. And we already do see that +1 coming into play here, which is, of course, going to revolve around some form of aggression by Mana.
And that first Zealot is out. He's going to be able to apply a little bit of pressure early on. It's not necessarily meant to do anything other than force out some units, possibly cause some extra Zerglings to come out. But one thing we should talk about is we've been mentioning all of these different changes that Dimaga's been using in his play. And a while ago, we did see this Baneling drop style be used. Here and there, we saw it a little bit in all regions, Korea, US, and in Europe. But Dimaga has really refined it and turned this into an amazing strategy that it appears Protoss players are having a difficult time actually dealing with. Now, will Mana be able to overcome this? And who knows, will Dimaga even go that way? It's certainly a possibility, Apollo, that he may choose to do something completely different. And look, we are going to have a fairly early Roach Warren come out for Dimaga.
And that Roach Warren is coming down because he did see the +1 being researched here. He poked in with the Overlord, saw it being researched, and he knows that gas has been thrown in this direction rather than any early tech structures such as the Robos, such as the Twilight Council. But we are now having the Twilight Council come down for Mana. He's not looking to do any super early aggression. With this Twilight Council, he will be able to continue to further upgrade into +2, can start to look at other options to branch around with now. And with all the gas that he is starting to bank up here, he will be able to align his strategy correctly, though. On the other hand, Dimaga is sitting at a very comfortable 40 drones, but he is building 5 roaches relatively early here. Even though there's been no presence on the map, he is feeling a little bit pressured here. And that's the only reason they're there, because he thinks that something may come a little bit earlier than it is.
And I'm not sure that we're actually going to see any more than 5 roaches. It looks like he's gone back to droning right now. You even see Mana Chrono boosting out some additional probes here at the natural. His Great Way army starting to grow here, and +1 is finished. He's already going up to +2. Now, we don't see the double Evo chambers coming down for Dimaga quite yet, and we also just have him still on the 1 gas inside the main. He's now taken 1 gas here at his 3rd. He might take an additional gas here at his natural. He likes to spread those out, but actually we have a macro hatch, and look what's going on over in Mana's base.
He's added up a bunch of gateways here, tallying up to a total of 6, with a 7th one coming down now. And basically what we're looking at, if you've seen the production tab also, the Templar Archives has come down here. So we are going to have a Zealot Archon style of play, whether it could be just Storm, it could be, but one thing is for certain, we're not going to have any form of robotics facility. There's no form of scouting here. Mana has chosen a strategy, and it doesn't matter what Dimaga does here. And Mana is starting to build up closer and closer to that +1 here. What other upgrades is he going to go for? Nothing has been researched from that Twilight Council, but one thing is for sure, Dimaga sees that there is no 3rd base coming down from his opponent, and usually there should have at least been an attempt for a 3rd base to come down here. And now we are having the initial Archons coming in straight over to, the initial High Templar, sorry, straight over into an Archon, and very surely Mana is going to start to make his way across the map.
Now we have a bunch of roaches out and a ton of lings on the way. +1 missile attack is being researched, and this is a different style than what we've seen this weekend from Dimaga, so he may choose to go with something a little bit different. He's already gone up to a max of 160 supply, this of course being the maximum number of units you can have out on the map, and right now he's only at 107, now 121 of 160, so he may decide to go with this very, very quick max style where you just try to overwhelm your opponent with units and reinforcements. And here we go. He's setting up, putting half of his units over here, another over here, and he is going to go in for the surround.
And he gets a good surround on those sentries, and the force fields aren't that good either here. And Mana's build, Mana's strategy and attack has been completely shut down there. And that flanking maneuver by Dimaga completely caught Mana off guard.
Yeah, in fact, he doesn't even have to go after the pylon quite yet. He'll chase after these units. Most of the sentries are gone, so the force fields will be limited, but a good final force field from Mana, and he does defeat these roaches here at the 4th base. He needs to get that pylon down, and there it goes. But are the reinforcements going to be here and out? He's going to move in once again. He gets a surround. The Stalkers are in the back, and we do have these Archons here that he needs to get down. They're going to be very good against those Zerglings.
And Archons are, of course, a little bit faster than roaches without speed there. It is going to run away to go meet up with the rest of these Stalkers. Blink is on the way, which will make these Stalkers very cost-effective against what Dimaga has. And the Chrono Boost is trying to get it out as fast as possible. But right now he has to think, do I Chrono Boost Gateways to get more units? Do I Chrono Boost Blink to get them more efficiency? And right now, Mana is in a world of trouble because Dimaga has so much free time to build an army ready to defend against this.
And right now, these Lings have no upgrades, and that has actually been one of the main features of Dimaga's build, is that he focuses on those Ling upgrades. Instead, he's gotten the +1 for the Roaches, and I don't know if that's actually going to play well into his hand here, as he is getting Roach speed, and we see Mana perfectly content holding this position right here. However, this Ling watching still notices he has not taken a 3rd base yet.
Indeed, and Dimaga set up another counterattack. Well, not really counterattack, but a flank maneuver here. So as soon as Mana heads towards that 3rd base, which he's about to do, Dimaga's going to come from behind and at the front as well, and he will get surrounded here.
And there it is, the Lynx going in on top of the Stalkers. We do see these Marcons doing a great job, and now it's just all about the Roaches moving forward. Now there are quite a few Roaches out here, 9 more on the way. +2 missile attacks for these Roaches is coming out. They do not have speed quite yet, but we saw those Stalker numbers dwindle quite a bit. And with no force fields, will he be able to push? Keep in mind the Stalkers do have better upgrades. This means they're going to be doing more damage against these Roaches, and more reinforcements are incoming.
And Dimaga's reinforcements are about to come in right now. Mana's already there, and he's doing a great job. Dimaga, where are the rest of your units? They are not there. And Mana blinks forward aggressively. Could have been a bit of a mistake there, but he's doing rather well. The Lings are coming in, and that's where things start to get dangerous.
Exactly. Although 4 more Lings on the way, he needs to keep sure, and he needs to make sure these Roaches are not just trickling in one by one. Many of these Stalkers are very, very low. Some Zealots being thrown in the mix, and we saw Dimaga with an amazing hold in the semifinal, but I think that Mana is going to be able to pull this one off. He's on top of the 3rd base. This is certainly affecting his economy. The Roaches now trying to re-rally into position where they can attack again. He's brought his drones out as well, and I think that Mana may be able to take game number 1.
He may be able to, and down goes the 3rd hatchery from Dimaga. Not only is his economy cut up now, he also is losing production, and once again, Mana goes in for a great fight, and look at those blinks. He is using the Stalkers so efficiently. Every time the shield goes low, he jumps back and they remain alive. An aggressive blink forward, and he is staring down at a map 1 victory.
We got 40 more Lings about ready to pop out, but they really need to fight in unison here in order for them to be completely effective. And Dimaga says, GG! You know, Apollo, great game from Mana, but let's go down to Kaldor and In Control, talk a little bit more about that game.
Well, I think there's a really interesting chess game that's kind of going on right now. For those of you who've watched the games throughout the weekend, Dimaga plays a different kind of ZVP. He'll do a Ling Baneling style, and when I saw that Fast Templar Archives, I knew that Mana was looking to hard counter it.
Exactly, he tried immediately to go for these Archons because he expected Ling Baneling, but Dimaga didn't do it. Dimaga went straight for Roaches, he went for the +1 attack upgrade, and Mana kind of hit a wall when he ran into Dimaga's base and tried to take down the 3rd.
When those first couple of Archons and the Sentries made their way to the 3rd, I was like, I actually leaned over to Kaldor, and for I think the 37th time this weekend, I was wrong. No, that's a joke. It's like the 370th time I was like, well, this is over. And then, of course, it wasn't. And the Protoss units kind of kept showing up, and the Zerg started dying, and I felt pretty bad about myself. But I felt good for Mana. I mean, I think it was a really interesting way to open this up. Ohana, pretty good PvZ map, but it's mostly because you can get to that 3rd really nicely, but if you're doing that strategy, you don't need a third.
The thing about Mana is that his Blink Stalker micro is incredible. We've seen this in PvPs over and over again. He loves this build, and we've seen it today against a couple of Zergs as well. Now he uses it against Dimaga, and as soon as this Blink upgrade was done, he used all of his Stalkers, and Dimaga tried over and over and over again to get a hold of them. But without the fungal, it was just not possible for them to take down this army, and slowly but steadily, Mana went up, took the third, and went right up to the ramp where he was able to get the second as well.
So I think one of the interesting things pushing forward is going to be seeing how much the Ling Baneling style is going to haunt Mana. I mean, he is up 1-0 here, but does he continue to use strategies that kind of blind counter that? He had no information about whether or not he was facing Roaches or Lings and Banelings, and if that's the case, Dimaga could make a comeback.
He definitely is just working on his momentum, because at this stage, Mana is a player that is really, he needs confidence in these games, and he was able to build it up by defeating Stefano. Now he's up 1-0 against Dimaga, and this will help him a lot in this series. I'm really excited about the next games.
Well, that's it for us. How about you guys, Wheat and Apollo?
Well, I mean, I agree with everything that you said. One thing that's definitely different about the styles, and keep in mind that we were talking about what is Mana going to be able to do to sort of counteract this new style that Dimaga is bringing. One of the things definitely seemed like a very, very quick +2. But I think one of the biggest differences is the fact that we did not see the Ling upgrades, the +1 carapace, the +1 melee attack, and those definitely seemed to make a huge difference earlier on in his matches throughout the DreamHack ISO Open.
Absolutely. Dimaga's been playing a very dangerous mid-game. So in the early stages, he's actually very vulnerable to a lot of different attacks there. And initially, when he had gone in and saw the upgrades going towards the Zealots, going towards initial attack upgrades there, he started to change around. And I think that's what really gave him the heads up a little bit to change his style. Because like they said down there, is that Dimaga didn't play the same. He changed things up because he knew exactly what he's shown across the tournament. He knows he's shown and weakness in the early stages, but a lot stronger in the mid to late stages. And then he adjusted his style. And I think Mana did play well into it. And I think Dimaga had a great reaction. But at the same time, Mana just was relentless with his aggression. His micro and control was formidable. It was actually amazing. And then as soon as he broke down the lines on the front of that third base, there was almost no coming back.
Yeah, and Caldor did mention the Infestors, which he's absolutely right about. In the previous games, we saw him kind of build up the gas to get ready to go to those Infestors. But Mana's aggression was literally so relentless, like you said. There was not much that he was going to be able to do. Not much room to maneuver there. And Dimaga's build was defeated. Mana takes game 1. Our next game is going to be on Cloud Kingdom. And will we see Dimaga fall back on that style? Will we see Mana make any adjustments? Because I do feel like he had a very solid build going for that. Of course, getting that Templar Archives also meant that if he needed to fall back on Storm, he could. The Archons did a wonderful job, though.
And the question is, though, is Mana going to try aggressive style again? Will Dimaga adapt further than that to really prepare? Or is Mana going to change his style up now and play a safer early stage? Because that was so aggressive. If it didn't work, he could have easily just dropped map number 1 of a best of 5 here, the first player to reach 3. If Dimaga, well, Dimaga, the thing is with Dimaga, he's got so much experience at the international level. Even though he hasn't won that many level of tournaments, he is always a top 16 competitor, has multiple tournament lands experience, and I think he's going to come back with all guns blazing here.
All right, well, we're going to be starting the next map here in just a moment. It looks like both players are readying up, and then we will go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us here for the DreamHack ISO